Okay.
Use the mic.
Okay. So we're going to do this kind of interview style. There's a lot of people here. So I'm going to ask you some questions, let you share. And honestly, what you're going to share tonight, I don't think I've ever heard. I just know, but I don't think I've ever heard details. So why don't you start with, what happened with your mother?
Right. The day of that she died? Okay. The day that she died, she was trying to come home for good, and we'll talk back about that later, but she was trying to come home, and her boyfriend got into an argument, and he shot her and then shot himself, and they both died. And
And how old were you when this happened?
I was 9 years old. It was February 16th, 2006. She was trying to come home for Valentine's Day, and but really like for good. And so we got no big argument.
Now, honestly, that's probably like anyone's worst nightmare that we can imagine, and it takes a lot of strength just to be able to talk about that, even though you're far removed from it. What was life like, kind of immediately after your mom's death, and then how do you feel like that's impacted your teen years? So start with closest to the event. What was going on?
Well, I was 9, so I was pretty young. It was kind of hard to take all in, so it was more like a shock feeling, and so immediately when I found out, I obviously cried, and then at the funeral I didn't cry because I was like, it was just like, I don't know, it just felt so surreal, and so after that, my dad got in touch with one of his old friends, Nellie, and they started dating again, and we moved to Austin, and that was pretty abrupt, and I love my stepfamily, but it was just a weird timing, and so whenever I moved to Austin, I immediately started smoking weed at age 11, and that was like my coping to help me have my outlet. I didn't know what else to do. I was like, I'm in a new city, my mom just died about a year and a half ago, and so that was my outlet, and yeah.
So, do you feel like we're gonna take from age 11 on in a minute, but now I want to pause right there because I think that anyone at this point can relate to it. I mean, we make choices based on way worse things happening to us, right? Failing a test or breaking up with a boyfriend, not our parents being murdered. So any of those things can trigger, going to drugs or looking for easy ways out, things that appear to be easier. But let's back up for a minute, and at some point, I'm guessing, maybe you asked for details or you knew details, but what happened? What led up to, you think, your mom's boyfriend at that time making that decision? Do you know anything about his background or anything like that?
I know a little bit, not a lot, but I know that he was currently on the run. He was a felon, so he was on the run. He always carried a gun with him. He was running from the law, and she knew this. And do you want me to start from the childhood?
Whatever you know.
Okay. Well, when my mom was a child, I don't know the exact age, but when she was young, her older brother molested her and her older sister. And so when you're molested, that obviously clouds your judgment on how sex should be and the right or wrong, And so she was molested, and then we were living a good life. She met my dad. She moved away she was in Snyder. She moved to San Marcos to get away from party life. She wanted to live a good Christian life, so she moved to San Marcos, my hometown, and her and my dad met, started dating, eventually got married, and they had a good marriage for 15 years, right? 15 years, and then the thing that caused my family to leave church was my 4-year-old cousin got abused by his stepdad, and it was a really complicated situation, and the pastor in my church kind of took the stepdad's side a little bit. It was really weird, and my family was hurt by that, and so my aunt, my mom, and my cousin all left the church, and after that they went right back to partying after not doing it for so long and being so good with each other, good influences on each other, and they started drinking again, they started going out again. And my mom was starting to go to bars again a lot, and that's where she met Ricky, her boyfriend, and so she was having an affair with him for about 6 months-ish, as for all I know, and so that was going on, and he was obviously not a very good guy, and so whenever they got into that argument, like I said, he just got mad, pulled out his gun, and shot her and then shot himself. And I read the police report for my first time last year because I wanted to read it, I just wanted clarification. And I knew the story, but I wanted to know like every detail. And I read, there's a toxicology report in it, and in the toxicology report, I'm pretty sure that it said he had cocaine in his system, and alcohol and marijuana, and then she had marijuana and alcohol in her system, and so that obviously affects you whenever you're on coke. You're more hyped and you get angry a lot easier, and so that definitely plays a lot into that.
Absolutely. You know, your mom and your boyfriend, at some point they were 11. You know, they were your age, the age that you decided to turn to marijuana. And there is no way, if we were to go back in time and interview them at 11 and say, listen, the choices that you're making right now are going to lead to both your deaths in the future. Obviously, we had that kind of crystal ball that would alter their lives. Hopefully they would have the foresight to see that the choices we're making now are not going to produce a positive effect, and really not just on them, you know, on for your mom, your future daughter. Now, here you are at 11 with a different set of circumstances. These are obviously, you know, parent getting murdered beyond your control. But nonetheless, you're still your own person, able to make your own decisions. So 11 on, what happened?
So 11 I started smoking, and I was doing it every now and then. It wasn't like a big thing. And then I went to middle school, and I got other people to start smoking. My friends around me, I was like, come on, it's not bad, it's fun. And so I got a lot of people. I counted like one time like 10, like that was when I was in 8th grade. I got 10 people to start smoking for their first time, and thank God all those people don't smoke anymore. But so I influenced a lot of people, and I was like the leader always, and so I was like the influencer always, and so that was middle school. In middle school I had identity issues, and I didn't really know who I was, and that's when you need your mom, like middle school, high school, and so it's like, I don't know who I am, I don't have a mom, I don't know who to talk to. 8th grade, I think, I started cutting myself, and that went on into freshman year. Freshman year, I was smoking a lot more, and I got into some drugs, which were Xanax bars, and I got into doing that a while, and I had a little addiction there, and I got into some trouble. I almost got charged for a felony for that, for distributing it to another person at school. And so that opened my eyes. Like, I almost got charged for a felony. I could have gone to jail, but they were really easy on me because they knew I wasn't a troublemaker or anything. And so I was able to get out of that literally by the grace of God. And so that opened my eyes. So I stopped doing drugs, but I kept smoking. And freshman year was a really, really bad year. It was a tough thing, and from there, I started smoking again, and I was like, okay, well, it's okay if I just do it every now and then. It's okay, it's acceptable. And so I was doing it a lot less, and then I was doing it more and more and more, and then it was every day. I was spending money every single day, smoking every single day, and that's how it was all of sophomore year, and this year too, until about October 21st, I made the decision to quit smoking because I was relying on it for my happiness again. I felt like I was at the exact same place that I was 2 years ago. Looking back, and I'm like, I'm doing the exact same thing. It's like, why did I make all this change and make all this effort to leave my school if I'm just the exact same place that I was 2 years ago? And so I made the decision to quit smoking on October 21st. And from then until January 10th, December 10th, I had struggles every now and then, and I would smoke maybe 5 times I smoked in that period of time, but December 10th I was like, okay, no, I'm done. It doesn't even feel good anymore. It makes me feel anxious and panicky. It's not the same that it used to be. And I really believe that God made me not like it so that I could be sitting here talking to you guys about this. And so January 10th, I had my first full month of sobriety, and I'm pretty happy about that. And so I've been sober for a month and 5 days, and yeah.
Awesome. Well, congratulations on that. I just want to kind of big picture summary, because you've been totally vulnerable up here, which is, I know, benefiting a lot of people who may not ever tell you that. If we could look at this in a big picture, we're talking about this butterfly effect. If we could go back into your mom's and boyfriend's childhood, to their parents, to the environment that was created for them, we would have seen brokenness. We would have seen things that were not right. If we would have went into their parents' background, we might have seen similar things. We don't know how far it goes and how long that ripple effect lasted. But the choices we make do, have consequences. And however many generations they go back, they've at least come and become a really hard reality for you in your life up to this point. But what you're expressing, what we're seeing, a lot of folks are not familiar with religious terms and jargon, but the term saved, when we talk about salvation, really that seems like the first time that hope that things could be different came in your life. And that hope came from your understanding of who God is through Jesus Christ for the first time. And it seemed like that began to break that dark cloud, understanding who God is. He is for you, not against you. He loves you unconditionally, and things can be different. But when we hear that message and decide to accept it, right? Things don't change overnight. And as you're describing, the struggle with temptation and sin, drugs, all that kind of stuff, it doesn't go away, right? It's a battle. But it's a battle now that you can overcome because of who God is and Him living inside of you. And that's at the heartbeat of the gospel message. It's you've become in the image of God you were created, and He's given you His Spirit inside you to fight against this darkness, temptation in a way that you've never really had before. And the decision that you made is beyond just honorable and in your own flesh. In a way, it's supernatural. It's God is with you, Laura. He's given you boldness to even come here tonight and share these kind of things and make public confession and say, you know what, I'm not going to be perfect, but I'm going to fight for the things that God wants me to fight for. And I love that. I love that in your story. But more importantly, you're changing. You're creating a new ripple now. What's going to happen here? Should you continue to contend for this path? And how it's going to affect your kids, their kids, the kids after them? We don't know. We don't know. Because you could give birth to the next person that saves the planet. We don't know. And it would seem like a seemingly unimportant decision right now to just quit smoking. But what if it's much more than that? Thank you for sharing. Yeah, you want to go? Absolutely, absolutely.
Okay. I just want to share one last thing. Also, through all these things, I had a realization about November or December. I had a realization that the pain and suffering is good. Like, if I didn't go through all of this, I wouldn't be as strong as I am today. I wouldn't be up here telling anybody about this. And if we didn't have pain and suffering, there would be no blessings. There would be no good times to rejoice in. And so, from the point that I had that realization, I now start every prayer with, "Thank you, Jesus, for